Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Adams, and this is No Spin Live, episode 13, everybody's favorite show where they learn about hot topics in plastic surgery from the world's top plastic surgeons. Today, we're going to cover Ivanka Trump, surgery online, deaths from the Brazilian butt lift. Joining us today, we've got two great plastic surgeons, Dr. Jason Posner from Boca Raton, Florida, and Dr. Jamil Ahmad from Toronto, Ontario. Let's get into this. So the first topic is this story that came out that women are getting plastic surgery to look like Ivanka Trump.
I think Ivanka Trump is a beautiful girl, and we've discussed this in past No Spin Lives. If she's had any work done, it's excellent, and if people want to look like her, it's not a bad person to look like. But you know what? I feel like everyone should be true to themselves and be better versions of their own self and not try to look like anybody else. That's why I counsel my patients. We're in the business of making people look better and younger, not making them look like somebody else.
Jamil, what do you think?
Well, Bill, I think culturally what's going on in East Asia is very different than in the West and here in North America. Like Jason said, when patients come in to see us, we want to really try to enhance their natural beauty and create beautiful results. But in East Asia, I think there's some extreme aesthetic ideals, and a lot of the time patients there want to look completely different than who they are, and sometimes not even similar to what their ethnicity is. So, but I guess to each their own, right? I guess they're trying to clone faces there.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird because, sometimes people come in and the reporter may have it really wrong. The patient's not wanting to really look like a person. They're like, I think that person looks pretty and beautiful or refreshed, and they're just looking for some fillers or something like that. So I'm not sure how I interpret that story. I have not seen anybody coming in to me and saying, I want to look like Ivanka Trump. Okay, let's move on to our second topic. Now, this comes out of Australia. I'm glad I have you two guys on because I know you both are very involved with education, and it's about trending online videos, people filming surgical procedures, and they're claiming it's for education. There's this particular story is one of the people from the Australian Society, and they were detailing that was much more just promotion, and it wasn't education. What do you guys think about that? Jamil, what's your take on trending videos and live surgical procedures that are just open to the whole public?
I think we're in a interesting time, Bill, with how quickly the internet and now social media has changed the way we interact with patients. And quite frankly, I'm undecided on this. I think it's a very powerful tool to educate patients, show them what's really going on in plastic surgery. But there certainly is a promotional and marketing component to it. I guess from my perspective, when I see some of these photos and videos on social media, I think the idea of maintaining some degree of professionalism as physicians and surgeons is important. There is some content out there that is really, really on the edge, and sometimes I think people would be quite offended by it.
Jason, what do you think?
I would agree with Jamil. I think it's purely self-serving for the physicians who are putting these things up. They're not interested in promotion, into educating consumers. They're interested in getting patients into practice to get operated on, okay? If you really want to do it scientifically, get it filmed professionally, edit it, talk about it, and distribute it to doctors, cut it separately for patients, and do a nice educational video. This is purely promotional, and it's all self-serving. So, I look at it and I laugh. We're all busy surgeons. I want my OR to be private, and I want to take time and spend the concentration on my patients, not worry about what's being filmed. They're my primary concern in the OR, not the cameras.
I've integrated some of the social media. I use Instagram a little bit more because I find it a little bit easier to take some photos. And certainly I show some photos of markings and some things we do in surgery with all of my patients' consent. And I typically edit them later and put them up so that it's not distracting to what we're actually trying to do in the operating room, which is high quality, safe surgery. So there is a place for it in my practice, but at the same time, there's a lot out there that, I think when we look at it is a little bit unnerving.
Jamil, I think that's an excellent way of approaching this. I agree that's fantastic. What I don't like is the look at me, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. What I'd like to do is, you want pictures of every capsule I take out every other day, the disgusting ruptured implants. I think that would be fun to pop on the internet or show on No Spin Live. But, most of the stuff that done by these surgeons is just self-serving.
The other thing that's brought up in this article, and certainly the American societies have followed suit, that both the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery and American Society of Plastic Surgeons have basically said that it's not really, it's ethics, a potential ethics violation if you're doing this for probably the reasons that you guys both have detailed. So I'm sure that won't be the last time we talk about this, but it's something that's a hot topic all over the world in plastic surgery. So the last thing, this is near Jason in Florida. Another woman has died actually in the same clinic getting a Brazilian butt lift. I want to get you guys' comments on it, but this is a very hot topic because Brazilian butt lifting and putting fat in the buttocks to enlarge the buttocks is a very hot procedure. Many patients want this. The technology has evolved to the point where it can be done much easier and with good results overall. But the safety of it has come into question recently. So, Jason, what do you think?
I'd love to throw stones and say that these problems were caused by non-board certified plastic surgeons with, not good credentials, but that's not true. Some of these procedures were done by board certified plastic surgeons with a lot of experience. So the question is, why is it happening and how can we improve on this? Steve Teitelbaum at one of the last meetings gave a very nice presentation on deep injections into the buttocks that cause some, fat to go into the venous system, which cause complications, including death. And I think that's the issue. As surgeons, we need to understand what's happening and come up with guidelines and training to prevent this. I think it's from too much fat being placed too deep under the muscle. But again, we need a full evaluation of this, just like with what we did with breast implants a long time ago.
Jamil, what do you think? Is it just technique?
I think it's a combination of things. I think Jason is right. When you are hearing about new procedures and then you're starting to hear about complications, as plastic surgeons and leaders in this field and physicians and scientists, it is our job to try to find the best way and the safest way to get great results. That being said, I think the other factor can be that, when people are showing up in the news time and time again with severe complications, deaths of healthy patients, it's very, very worrisome. And I don't know all the details behind any of these stories, but when there are trends like that, I think, it goes beyond plastic surgery, to the medical licensing boards to really look very closely, because people that are not qualified to provide medical treatments, people that are not performing them in adequate facilities, I think that has to stop. And I think as Jason lives firsthand, there's a lot of that in the state of Florida.
It's interesting. Florida has made a lot of rules for office ORs, which have only been for safety purposes. No operations that last longer than 8 hours. Nothing more than 4 liters of supernatant fat taken out. And if you're doing another procedure like a tummy tuck, you can only take out 1 liter of fat. So I wouldn't be surprised if Florida makes some regulations with Brazilian butt lifts at some point in the future.
I'm sure it won't be the last time we talk about this, and it's definitely an evolving hot topic, but I think those are some good insights, and I think there's some really good takeaways there. So we appreciate that. I appreciate you guys' time to visit with our viewers, and if you've liked this No Spin Live, you can see more of it at theplasticsurgerychannel.com.